Hey peers, welcome to the first episode of the Modern Myths podcast. I'm Vince Ventura, Artistic Director of 12 Peers Theater, and your host for the Modern Myths podcast. Today we have Act 1 of Cry in the Shower by Liz Leighton. Detailing the emotionally complicated relationship between a mother and a daughter, both suffering from an emotional disorder which the mother has euphemistically coined as the SADS, this piece jumps around in time to reveal how a family of two develops over the course of a lifetime. Chantal Gregory perseveres to teach her daughter, Lena, the rules of suffering to help her survive genetically inherited clinical depression. In doing so, she overlooks her daughter's humanity. This piece explores how even the closest relationships can fall apart. And now, Cry in the Shower by Liz Leighton.
Act 1, Scene 1, 2013. Chantal Gregory, age 57, but an old 57 at this point, meticulously goes through the file cabinet in her room at the nursing home. Enter the nurse.
What are you up to, Miss Gregory?
I'm trying to get out of here.
What? Do you think you're going to find a magical tunnel through there?
No.
Well, you're not going to find a way out in there.
I'm looking for my entry documents.
It's time to practice your walking.
I'm afraid this takes precedence.
Miss Gregory, you won't be able to leave this place until you practice your walking.
I know that's not true. Stop patronizing me. I'm perfectly lucid.
Did we get up on the wrong side of the bed this morning?
I ask that you don't employ cliched euphemisms at me and stop talking to me like a child.
You're cruising to lose dessert privileges, Missy.
I've never cared for desserts, and had you been observant in the single week you've been here, you would have noticed that I never eat it even when I've earned the privilege. That's the problem with you new nurses. You all assume that you're taking care of a bunch of toddlers. You'll probably be more tolerable in a week when this place has beaten you down and you've lost all enthusiasm.
Is there anything I can do to make you practice your walking?
Leave for about 15 minutes, and when you come back, be prepared to talk to me like an adult. Oh, and nurse?
Yes?
Has my daughter called the administrative office recently?
Not that I know of.
No luck today? Well, thanks anyway.
No problem.
Nurse exit. Chantal goes to her room phone and dials a number.
Hello, Lena. It's me. I don't expect you to return my phone call or visit, but I'm asking that you do. Please, indulge me. I know the doctors are reporting that everything is all right with me, but I feel as if something's off. No, I am perfectly calm and lucid, and this is not a trick. It's okay that you're still angry. I know I did everything wrong. I admit that. Maybe it's out of desperation, but still I just need to see my little button again. Please? I still love you, even though I can't hug you.
Scene 2, 1985. The living room. Chantal lounges and reads. Enter Lena, carrying an overnight bag. Chantal registers her above whatever publication she has been skimming.
Do you think you're ready?
Yes.
What did you pack?
Pajamas, underwear, and a change of clothes.
Which pajamas, underwear, and change of clothes?
Mom.
We discussed this.
Don't you trust me?
I'm just making sure. I don't think you realize how beautiful you are.
Mom.
It's not fun now, but it'll be worth it when you don't alienate the other girls and actually have friends.
The gray pajama pants and matching tee, the plain white underwear from the 12-pack, and the charcoal pedal pushers with the pink sweater.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't wear pink around the other girls.
It's the light pink sweater.
It makes your feet just pop so brilliantly.
It won't stand out.
It'll still be too beautiful. Girls will get jealous of you even if it doesn't look like you're trying, especially if it looks like you're not trying.
I'll trade it out for the cable knit sweater.
The bulky one?
Yes.
Good. We wouldn't have to take the precautions if you weren't so beautiful.
Chelsea says that she doesn't care about the way she looks. She says that her brain is beautiful enough.
Well, that's because there's nothing else beautiful about Chelsea.
Mom!
Oh, grow up, Lena. Look, the sooner you acknowledge Chelsea's visual shortcomings, the sooner you can start to be the sort of friend she needs.
What's that?
Someone who can sacrifice their own vanity. You're going to need to be self-deprecating without seeming sad. Make her think she's prettier than you without making it seem like being pretty is important. That way, in the rare moments when she's being honest with herself and realizes that she's underwhelming to look at, she can resort to thinking that she's smarter, and that's what's really important anyway.
Being smart is more important than being pretty.
And that is exactly what you need to tell people.
But it's true.
Honey, being smart is good and being pretty is good, but neither one is better than the other. Each birth is like a bowl of beads falling on the floor. Some of the beads fall on the floor to make a pretty pattern, and some of them don't. People are born, and whatever the result, it is completely by accident. Beauty is more apparent than intelligence, at least initially. Ugly people console themselves by telling themselves that they're smarter and that being smarter is ultimately more important.
Chelsea's not that ugly.
She will be when she reaches puberty. She can't outrun her Slavic heritage forever. That's why it's important that you keep telling her she's pretty.
If being ugly made her mean, I wouldn't want to be friends with her anyway.
But being ugly makes all girls mean. It's just the way the world is. And you don't want to be friends with other pretty girls, because then your friendship will only be about how pretty you all are, and then it will be competitive over minute fractions of beauty.
I still think it's more important to be smart than pretty.
Being smart is certainly useful. Keep letting Chelsea think that she's smarter than you, but honey, you're smarter than Chelsea.
But Chelsea's in the gifted classes.
That doesn't mean anything at your age, Lena. Chelsea's fairly gifted, but everyone letting her know, it's making her lazy and narcissistic. You're going to be cunning. It's the way I'm raising you.
What?
You have more difficult circumstances right now. You're learning to navigate them early. Oh, speaking of which, will you remember not to eat too much sugar?
Yes.
And will you get to bed early if you get the opportunity?
Yes.
Good.
Would it be so bad if I didn't for one night?
Oh, I don't suppose it would. But imagine how hard it would be to have the sads at a sleepover all night.
I might not get the sads.
But you might.
Yeah.
Will you do everything you can to prevent that?
Yes.
And what will you do if you get them anyway?
Keep it in.
Good. Until when?
Until I get home and cry in the shower.
Exactly. But you should know that that's very hard to do.
I know.
So just try to avoid them altogether. Nobody wants to be friends with someone who gets the sads all the time. People with the sads are selfish.
Mom?
Yes?
Maybe someday I'll stop getting the sads.
Now stop it. Stop it right there. That is the most dangerous way of thinking. You will always get the sads. I'm sorry, little button, but you need to know that. It's like a pit in the middle of your brain. It's better to always dance around the edge rather than forget that it's there entirely and be caught off guard when you fall in. Otherwise, you may not get them for a while, and they inevitably come back. Trust me, they do. You'll feel like a failure, but you have to understand that it's not your fault. Are you listening to me? It's not your fault that you're going to feel that way sometimes. You were born to survive feeling ways that no one else can.
It's not fair.
No, it's not.
But life isn't fair.
No, it's not.
God, I'm so sick of hearing that.
Everybody says it, but you're going to be one of the few people who truly understand it.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
But you know what will?
What?
Friends. If you hold it in until an emergency, I mean a real emergency, they will be there for you.
Right.
And that's why you need to keep them thinking that they're prettier and smarter than you. Will you do that?
Yes.
Good. Now go pack your ugly sweater.
Scene 3, 1983. Chantal meets with Mrs. Donahue in a classroom.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me on such short notice.
It's no trouble at all, Mrs. Gregory.
Ms.
I'm so sorry.
It's quite all right.
Well, as I was saying, I've actually been meaning to speak with you.
Really? In regards to what?
Lena is a very interesting little girl, and I'm concerned for her. I'm starting to see some issues.
Why? Is her academic performance poor?
No.
Is she ill-mannered?
Not at all.
Is she disorganized?
No.
This isn't a discussion about poor hygiene, is it?
Oh, no.
Well?
I'm just trying to think of what to say. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Take all the time you need to gather your thoughts.
I guess we should start by talking about why you scheduled this meeting with me.
You think that's best?
Yes. Yes, I think I do.
Mrs. Donahue, were you present yesterday?
Yes.
Both physically and mentally?
Yes, I'd say so, yes.
Did you notice anything different about Lena's demeanor or appearance after what I believe was the third recess?
No. Why? What happened?
A group of boys, all from your class, I've been told, held Lena down and took turns expectorating on her.
Expectorating?
They spit on her, Mrs. Donahue.
Oh, my God.
As you can imagine, I am somewhat upset by this, and I would like to know what action will be taken to prevent any further incident.
Can you tell me who is responsible?
Every boy in your class.
That can't be right.
It is according to Lena, and I've never known her to embellish. I taught her better than that.
Immediate disciplinary action will be taken.
I'm glad to hear it.
And the school counselor will be told...
There's no need to notify any counselor.
But after this experience, Lena may have some trouble coping.
I don't mean to undermine your authority or that of any of the fine professionals employed at the school, but I feel it would be in everyone's best interest if the welfare of my daughter's mental health were left entirely in my hands.
I respect your wishes.
Good.
But I wonder if you might think about it for later?
What do you mean? I already said no.
It may be helpful with some of Lena's other issues.
Other issues?
Yes. Lena has shown some signs that something might not be quite right.
What are these signs to which you refer?
She's quiet.
You're recommending my daughter receive psychological treatment because she's quiet?
That's not what I meant.
Well, frankly, the individuals who spat all over my daughter yesterday seem like better candidates for this sort of thing. In fact, they probably should have been sent to your counselor a long time ago.
And it's not psychological treatment. It's just an adult she can talk to.
There are several adults my daughter is more familiar with that she can speak to. Of all the children you could send to someone with some second-rate degree, you want to send the quiet, well-behaved child precisely because she is quiet and well-behaved?
All I'm saying is that there might be a self-esteem problem here.
Self-esteem? Honestly, I shouldn't have expected more. Do you know what I think is happening here? A quiet, intelligent child has come your way. She just happens to be a little different, probably in that she is so quiet and intelligent. And so your solution is to simply fob her off onto some lady with puppets and Play-Doh so that she can waste the valuable school day hours talking about her feelings. You simply do not know what else to do because, let's face it, you're really just a glorified babysitter with a piece of parchment paper.
Mrs. Gregory.
Miss
Gregory, sorry. You can question my intelligence, but please do not think I care any less about Lena just because I'm not whipping out every $10 word I know. Forgive my French, but this is not a pissing contest. We are here for the sake of your daughter, who, as far as I can see, may be emotionally disturbed.
How dare you?
Let me finish. It is not my job to tell you how to raise your child, but it is my job to keep an eye on her and give my 2 cents as far as her education goes. An education isn't just what she learns in school. Do you get that, Miss Gregory? Lena needs to learn to communicate, to say what's on her mind, whether it's good or bad. That's the reason I wanted to talk to you before you even set up this meeting.
Are you inferring that Lena's having trouble socializing?
In some ways, yes. What I'm saying is that she's the least likely of anyone in the class to speak up if her needs aren't being met. Yesterday, for example, she didn't say a word to me about the spitting incident.
Wait a minute. Pardon my French, but is this your way of covering your ass for not catching on to a problem?
That's just the trouble. She never gave any sign that a problem even existed.
Other than being covered in saliva? So what you're telling me is that my daughter is being overlooked because she isn't as demanding as all of her narcissistic peers?
You may talk down to me all you like, but please don't speak that way about the children. Each one is like my own.
Oh, you're full of shit.
I swear I'm not.
Look, any teacher who says that sort of thing is absolutely full of shit. Each child is like one of my own. Of course they're not like your own children. You only interact with them for a year. You barely even know them. And when you are spending time with them, it's only under an academic context. Although after speaking with you, or for even this brief period of time, I have difficulty choking out the words academic and you in the same sentence. And of course, you have your favorites and the ones you don't like at all, which isn't ideal, but hey, it's okay. And do you know why? Because they are not your own children. You're just their grammar school teacher. It is not your job to love them or guide them through growing pains or whatever bullshit you've weaned from all of those after-school specials you've been watching. You're here to teach them how to read, write, do math, and make sure they don't fucking pin each other down and spit on each other.
Mrs. Gregory.
Ms.
Sorry. I'm not used to this kind of conversation, but please understand. I have an entire room full of kids to look after, so if one comes back a little dirty but doesn't say anything about why, it's very hard to notice.
Very hard to notice something's wrong with someone who is like your own child?
The point is that the squeaky wheel gets the grease in this situation, and there are going to be times like that to come later in Lena's life, so she's going to have to learn to say something. She doesn't even make a peep. Quite frankly, it's rather eerie and off-putting to the other children. And that is why I'm going to ask you one more time to consider counseling for your daughter.
I hear your recommendation, and my response is to immediately begin looking at other schools. I believe that this institution is no longer acting in her best interest. Oh, don't worry. She won't upset anyone here with her eerie gaze anymore.
Chantal gets up to leave and turns back.
Thank you for telling me how to raise my child.
Scene 4, 1994. Lena calls to her mother, who is changing in the next room.
It's not so much that it's eerie living alone, which it is, but it's a rather unproductive state of being. When you know you're going to spend time with people, all you can think about is the time you're going to spend with people. Then when you're with people, of course, you can't get anything done because you're with people, and you spend the entire time wishing they would just go away so you can be productive and get work done. And then afterward, you spend time analyzing how you did spending time with people, and the few minutes you have where you're not planning on spending time with people or haven't just spent time with people, all you can do is sit around and wonder why nobody wants to spend time with you. Then you try and talk yourself down and convince yourself that people indeed want to spend time with you. It's just that they're all really worn out or otherwise occupied right now, but you're wasting valuable alone time you would be using to be productive. But then you really can't get started, and you wish you could just be around people. Do you know what I'm saying, Mom?
Enter Chantal, putting on a cardigan.
If you don't think you can handle living alone, you can always move back in here.
Oh, no, I wasn't hinting at that at all.
Well, I didn't think you were, but please always consider it as an option. It's always been your home as much as mine.
Thanks for the offer, but all the same...
I know you want to be independent, and you're fully capable of doing so. But all the same, 19 is terribly young to be out alone.
I will always keep it in mind.
That's all I ask.
Thank you. Really.
How's work?
It's moving along smoothly.
Do you enjoy it?
Not really, but that's why they call it work.
If it starts to grind on you, just quit. It's not worth it.
It's just to provide for myself while I paint.
But I didn't think you were painting.
I am.
You just said you weren't.
No, I didn't.
That was the inference from your anxiety about spending time with people.
I was speaking hyperbolically.
Who are you seeing?
People.
Which people?
Friends and acquaintances.
Who's the boy?
I never said anything about a boy.
Didn't you?
Did I?
I can tell there's a boy.
How?
By watching you.
How?
You're just like me.
I am not.
What's his name?
Dennis.
Oh, be careful, little button.
Why?
You're an intense young woman. It doesn't behoove you to be intense about a relationship at such a young age.
Don't worry about it.
Are you sure you don't want to move back in with me?
Yes.
I wouldn't disapprove if Dennis visited.
I don't need to move back in.
There are so many drastic changes all at once with you. I'm worried you'll crash and burn.
Mom, I promise you, I will let you know at the first sign of trouble.
You promise?
Promise.
I can't blame me for being a little nervous.
I know.
The distance makes it hard to watch over you.
It's just across town.
All the same.
Mom, I know you're just looking out for me, but maybe now is the time for me to accumulate a little wear and tear.
Wear and tear?
Yes. Everybody has it. It's just part of being human.
Did you get this from Dennis?
No.
Good. Don't start quoting him. You need to keep your own identity.
I promise.
What's he like?
He's a very good listener.
Does he know about the,
Yes. He knows I get the sads.
Did you call it the sads in front of him?
Of course not. I called it like it is. He didn't freak out or anything. He says that if I ever feel down, he'll drop whatever he's doing and rush over to be there for me.
Well, that's very nice of him. He sounds like a very kind young man.
Well, that's good because we got married.
What?
Surprise!
Oh, Lena, please tell me you're joking.
Well, the part where I shouted, surprise, was a joke to add a little levity to the situation because I know you're seriously pissed off at me right now.
But you did marry him?
Yes.
When did this happen?
Thursday.
5 minutes ago, you were reluctant to even tell me you were seeing someone.
I wanted to ease you into it.
You're not pregnant, are you?
No.
Oh, thank God.
We don't plan on having children.
Yes, but I don't suppose you planned on getting married at the age of 19, did you?
It's what's right for me.
I know you're having trouble adjusting with living alone.
This isn't about that.
It is a little bit.
Just a little.
Or a lot.
But he makes me happy, Mom.
For now, and I'm happy that you're happy. But I'd rather have you safe, and this is not safe.
I'll keep it together.
Oh, Jesus, little button. I know you think you will.
Please don't patronize me, Mom. You've been doing that since I was a kid.
Well, when you do something like this...
Mom, have you ever known me to be impulsive, like, at all? Please believe me, I wouldn't have done this if I weren't absolutely sure.
Lena, if this were any other situation, if we were any other type of people, then I would trust you with this, but we aren't so lucky.
Fuck luck.
Do you think that this is clever?
You're always talking about luck, about how we don't have it and how we have to live by the rules of suffering. We live in a first world country, Mom.
Your father left us.
Left us with a trust fund so we could quit our jobs if the grind ever got to us. I have that option. That sounds so privileged to me. And you've never had to work. Not really. Yeah, you've had the odd part-time job along the way.
I needed to raise you.
I know, Mom. And I'm not faulting you for it. I just want you to understand that a lot of people out there don't have that option. Please stop thinking of us as the unluckiest people in the world.
We're unlucky in a different way.
Listen, we both know luck can exist just as some magical entity that blesses those who have it. But I believe in it. I do think it exists, just different from how we've been thinking about it all this time. For me, it exists as a feeling. If you feel lucky, you are lucky. And right now, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. You know how I know? Because I feel like I am.
That is a load of bullshit.
No, it just sounds like bullshit.
Do you realize how dangerous this situation is? You've gone completely out of the spectrum of realistic thinking.
I'm tired of living within your rules for suffering.
You think I'm not? We live in the rules for suffering because we were born to suffer.
No, Mom. That's just you.
You have this as much as I do.
You know what I think? I think you're miserable, and the only way to make yourself feel better is to make everyone else as miserable as you. And since you've managed to alienate everybody else in your life, I'm the only one there to make miserable. And boy, do you focus your attentions on me, always with your stupid rules and guidelines for managing my own emotions. And it's so hypocritical because I know you felt the same way about my father.
And that's how I know how truly dangerous your situation is.
But you survived it, didn't you?
Just barely.
All the same, I'm married now, and I'm going to stay married. And you know what, Mom? I'm happy. So you can sit through it and let me prove myself to you, or you can make your own stupid point about your rules for suffering and disown me or whatever.
You know what you said isn't true, right?
Which thing?
I don't want you to be as miserable as I am.
You're a black hole for joy.
And that was Act 1 of Cry in the Shower by Liz Leighton. Join us next week for the conclusion. The Modern Myths podcast is produced by 12 Piers Theatre. Executive producer, Vince Ventura. Producers, Sarah Fisher, Matt Henderson, and Marcus Savage. Music by Kevin MacLeod, Incompetech.com. Stage directions, read by Rick Ziflinski. Chantal, Diana Ift. Lena, Sarah Ashley Fisher. Nurse and Mrs. Donahue, Ashley Rice. Recording location generously provided by Timesys Corporation. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review.